I'm Mike Trevethan, a speech therapist with Keystone AEA, and I'm also a member of the Assistive Technology team. This video is to demonstrate the switches that are available in the switch kits that can be checked out from each sector office. The Bluetooth is a Bluetooth switch that can be used to send switch commands to your iPad in order to control apps. This side of the switch has an on and off button and also the mode control. The mode control controls what signals are sent to control the apps. For example, if you press mode 1, switch 1 will send a space command and switch 2 will send an enter command. As you see, when I press the mode button, it changes the mode on the screen, and these numbers correspond to what is written on the back. You also have the option to program new switch commands if you need them for an app. This side of the device has the pair button, which is used when you program or pair the device to your iPad. This side of the switch has two charging ports for USB and micro USB that can be charged using a USB on your computer, or they can be plugged into the wall. These two ports are for external switches, so that if a student cannot move their hands close enough to both sides of the switches, you can place switches on different sides of your body. To pair the Bluetooth switch to your iPad the first time, press the Settings app, find Bluetooth, and turn on Bluetooth. Press Power on the device, and press Pair. It may take several times to get it to pair the first time. Also check to see if there are other devices in the room. And now it's connected. The app I would like to demonstrate scanning with is the GoTalkNow Lite app, which is completely free. This is a great app where you can evaluate students informally. I've set up the switch with the GoTalk app and two-step scanning. In this example, a student is just choosing between a preferred item and a foil or nothing. So the student can scan through the choices, and the app will read which choice they want as it goes through. The student then uses the white switch to make their choice. I've changed the program to single-step scanning, so in order to start the scan, you press the switch to get the scan started, and as the program goes through the symbols, it announces what symbols are chosen, and then the student makes their choice. And this program can be set up to change scanning speeds. Choose It Maker is an app that Keystone's purchased for the SLPs to use. It's basically Board Maker with reinforcement to the students, so that when they get a right choice, it gives them some reinforcement and feedback. Also, it keeps scores on the first hit that the student makes. To hook up a switch to Choose It Maker, you go to the settings portion and say, yes, you are the teacher. At this point, you're enabling a switch, and you can choose between one switch or two switch. We showed you one switch before, and it just moves back and forth between the switches, and you have to kind of hit the target, which is more difficult for students. And I'll demonstrate the two switch to you. I've set up Choose It Maker with the Bluetooth switch and with the external switches, so that if a student can't bring their hands close enough together, you can move the external switches closer to where they can access. And they're attached by the ports on the side of the device. So in this case, the white switch is the mover, and the green switch does the same thing, it does the moving. And the yellow switch and the other external yellow switch is the picker. So the student moves among the choices, and then the student picks with the appropriate choice. And this can be set up so this is red as you go through, and these are red as you go through the choices. The switch interface hooks up to your computer using USB so that you can control mouse commands using switches. There's a toggle on top of the switch that changes which row the switch interface reads as you click through it. So for example, if you're on the blue row, if you put a switch into this port, it reads a space. If you put a switch into this port, it reads an enter. If you change to the red row, if you put a switch into this port, it reads a click. If you put a switch into this port, it reads a 1. That way you can send a different command based on what your program needs. You can place up to 5 switches into each port on the computer for each row. To demonstrate this interface, I've called up Chip Maker. And you need to go to the settings just like with the iPad app and switch it to switch scanning. Open up the story.
What did the boy plant?
I hooked the USB up to the side of the computer and it's harder to see on this camera, but set it up to space and enter with the blue button and hooked up to two external switches. So the yellow button's over and the green button's sticker. You can move through the choices in the story with the yellow button
Carrot seeds.
and then make your choice with the green button as the picker. The battery interrupter is placed in the battery of a battery-operated toy. That allows you to make the toy stop and start using a switch. To install the battery interrupter, open the door, place it between the battery and close. You also would benefit if you cut a little slot here so the battery can't escape. For just simple cause and effect, press the button, the toy moves, release the button, and the toy stops. I'll now show you ways to move beyond cause and effect. The switch latch and timer can be used to move beyond cause and effect so the child can start to see that their switch activations are doing things rather than just turning off on and off the device. The latch can be set to require another switch activation in this many seconds or minutes, and in the latch mode, one hit turns the device on and one hit stops the device. So I've set the switch to the time mode at about 2 or 3 seconds. So you want the child to activate it. And when the toy stops, you want to see if the child initiates again to see if they're comprehending the use of the switch. So you want to see their data change from maybe hitting it all the time to just hitting it when it's needed. I switched the timer to latch mode, so one activation will turn on the toy, another activation will turn off the toy. Once again, you'll have to look at your data and you want the child's behavior to match what the switch is expecting of them. You don't want to see random movements. You want to see the child change based on how you change the switch set. The candy corn switch can be either used as a proximity switch or a touch switch. It also has a magnet on the back of it so it can be placed on metal surfaces, and there's also a flange that comes out if you wanted to screw it onto a surface. It's nice for kids who can't put enough pressure to activate a switch. It works just like all the other switches, can be hooked into the switch latch timer, but only requires to be within 10 millimeters for the switch to work. The mini beamer transmitters are switches that send wireless signals, so you can send a beam across the room. They must be paired with each other first, so you need to press the mode button down until pairing is started. This switch is just like the gray switch because you can do latch, you can do it by time, or you can do direct selection. The mini beamer receiver is hooked up to the pig, and the mini beamer transmitter can be set anywhere across the room. So it's like the candy corn, it's a proximity switch, or the child can touch it for direct selection. This concludes the switch kit overview for the switch kits available at all the sector offices and the Alcator office. If you require further instruction or have any questions, please contact me using the email on screen.